Hey guys. Okay, so as many of you have already worked out, earlier this week, Brisbane City Council released their new interactive mapping program. Since that mapping program was released, we've received some phone calls and emails from people absolutely freaking out, panicking that must mean there's all this new mapping that they need to consider. If there's new mapping, it means there's new rules. And oh my goodness, if there's new rules, it means the town planning game has changed. They've been freaking out. I can reassure you, the game has not changed, the rules have not changed, and the mapping is still exactly the same. What has changed is the way that we interact with the information, the way that we gather the information. So why on earth would council change the system? I mean, what's the saying? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, firstly, to understand the why, we need to go back in time to 2018. In case you've been living under a rock, back in 2018, council did a massive public consultation process. One of the key findings, bits of feedback, let's stick with feedback. Bits of feedback that council received was that the town planning process is just way too complicated. It's just overwhelming. Members of the public don't know how to access information, interpret information, and therefore they're kind of locked out of the whole process. They can't engage in this whole town planning world. So council agreed, they kind of gave an undertaking to address this issue by overhauling the interactive mapping program to ensure that instead of people having to go to various different websites, they only need to go to that one site. So all the information is brought together in one central location. And they gave an undertaking to make it much, much easier for the public to use. So that is why we've suddenly got this new interactive mapping program. Now, I thought today, why don't we just jump behind the computer? And why don't I give you a quick lesson, let's just say, in how to use the new program. So I'm going to give you some tips. I'm going to talk about the pros, the cons, all that sort of stuff. Basically, I'm just going to help fast track your transition process, get you guys up and running with this new program. So let's do it. Okay, so first things first, you need to go to good old Google. As you'll see here, I've typed in BCC City Plan Mapping. I'm sure you can type in a bucket load of other different terms, but they're the terms that I've chosen to use. Now, through trial and error, I've worked out that these first three links do not work. They actually redirect you to the old mapping system, and as a result, you get an error message. The link you do want is this one down the bottom here, the one that says cityplan.brisbane.qld, blah, 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 blah. Now, overwhelmingly, I think the system is going to be amazing, especially once we get over that transition period and we learn how to use the system properly. However, it is inevitable that you're going to have some kinks, some hiccups, some negative points. Let's be real. So I'm going to talk about those negatives first, get them over and done with, because I want to finish on a positive note, because I do believe that overwhelmingly the system is going to be a really, really good thing. So first things first, you want to come down here to the View Map button. Now, what I need to talk about first is the loading time. This system is so slow. Oh, it is painful. Now, I don't know why I needed to do it the other day, but I'll give you an example here. I had a property open and I actually wanted to turn on the TBC, Traditional Building Character Overlay, to see what properties it affected in the street and which ones it didn't. So I turned it on, I waited, nothing appeared. So I was like, oh, sweet, there is no character houses in the street. That's going to make my job so much easier. I went back to my assessment report. I started drafting. A little bit later, I came back and I was like, oh, I'll just change something else. Wait, hold up. What is that purple? That purple was not there before. Why is the purple now? Oh my goodness, I've got to go back and redo that reporting. I was not happy, Jan. No, I wasn't. Turned out there was TBC in the street. I just hadn't waited long enough for it to actually load. So tip there, give it time to load, maybe zoom out and actually wait to see some colouring appear across the city as a whole, then zoom back in to be sure that it's actually loaded. So that's the first tip that I want to give you guys. Now let's talk about the positives. Let's start with the address field. Oh, this thing is magical. Back in the old days, you used to have to search based on suburb, then street, then number. Now this was painful if you had a property that was kind of on the cusp of two suburbs. So where I used to live, half the street was one suburb, the other half was a different suburb. So depending on which mapping program you used, it could be in a different suburb. So often you'd go in and you type the suburb in, then you do the street number, and then you do, street name, and then the number, and then nothing would load. And you'd be like, okay, what's the next suburb? Okay, we'll try this suburb, etc., etc. It also comes up all the time when people like to big note themselves. So they like to say they're in the bride suburb and not the bridesmaid suburb. Unfortunately, it doesn't work for the mapping system. Now, you enter it as if you would do it like just talking to anyone. So here's an example. Let's go to Hall Street. Number 20, so you type in 21 Hall Street. instead of Milton, Hall Street, 21. It's so much more logical. Next thing I love is when you actually start to type the address in, it gives you options, again once it loads, to choose from, so it can help speed up the process. And then the final thing I love about the address feature is that if you make a typo, so let's just say I go Help Street. Oh, well, this is going to backfire on me. It worked this morning, I swear. Anyway, the example I did this morning was I accidentally put a typo, so I changed one of the letters as I was just typing away, and it still gave me the closest match suggestion. Obviously, it didn't work there. I look like an idiot right now, but it did work before, trust me, so it should work some instances. So basically, if you type the address in, if you accidentally put a typo in, you don't need to restart, it will still give you the suggestions. Now, the next positive I wanted to talk about, let's just get back out of this, is when you actually select a property, which I'm waiting for it to load now. In the past, if you want to know what overlays affected the property, you'd have to bring up the property report, go down, I'd do all my little shorthand notes on my notepad saying what they are. I'd then go back to the aerial photo and then I'd turn them on one by one just to be able to see how they affected the property. Now, all the information is in this beautiful little section here on the left. So you can go down and go, oh, I want to see the zoning. You just click it on. Once it loads, you'll get the pink zoning across the property. So it gives you that shorthand list to refer to and you can turn it on and off so easily. Oh, I love it. Okay, cheat sheet coming back. Oh, transparency, let me tell you about transparency. I love this feature. Okay, so now you can turn on the different overlays. In the past, you used to have to turn one off and then the next one on. That one on, off, next one on. Now you can have multiple layers on at the same time and you can use this little transparency function down here to make it show through. Oh, this is beautiful. So I've got an example at the moment, a job at Bracken Ridge. It's a shed on a sports field. The sports field is split between two zones. I needed to work out whether that shed was going to be an SR1 or SR2 because that dictates what rules or what codes I have to look at. So what I did is I turned the aerial on, the zoning on, I worked out my landmark, which happened to be a tree, and I went, okay, there's the tree, I'm doing the shed next to the tree, there's the boundary of the zone, sweet, I'm in SR1, that's what I'm going for. Another example, I haven't done this yet, but I could see this being so beneficial when it comes to the biodiversity overlay. So you need to work out what subcategory certain structures are going to fall in. So let's say you've got a house here, you're doing a deck here, and you want to find out, is that in the high significant subcategory? HC, you get what I'm trying to say. I want to know if it's in that nasty green category. So what I do is turn on the biodiversity overlay, turn on the aerial photo, change the transparency over here to get it to show through, and then work out where my structure is going to sit in relation to that mapping. In the old days, I used to have to print out the aerial. When I say print out, screenshot the aerial, screenshot the zoning, take it into Word, affect the transparency. Oh, it was painful. Now I can do it here. Oh, it's so beautiful. Love that feature. Okay, what's next on my list? Oh, measuring. Okay, get this question all the time. Can I keep the house at the front and do a subdivision to create a vacant lot at the rear? What we used to have to do was get the old measuring tool, mark out the backyard, wait for it to load, go, 350 square meters. Okay, I've got to measure a different, slightly bigger area now to try and get that 400. Oh, I've gone 410. Okay, I'll go back again. I'll make it 4. It's so fiddly to go back and forth, trying to work out that exact area measurement that you're looking for. Now, let me show you this. Come to the measuring tool. Come down to what I like to call the crown symbol. You have to click on it a couple of times sometimes to get to work. Wait for that cross to come up. So let's go to here to 25 because it's got a bigger backyard. Let's say I want to work out if I want to keep that whole front house and I want to do a lot at the back, how big is that lot going to be? Okay, 173 square meters. What I liked though is it was giving me a running total as I was going around. So I could adjust that. Better still, I can come up to the corner now and go, I'm going to take that back a little bit because it's overlapping that rear roof form, most likely a veranda. So we're going to take that back because you probably need 900 clearance for fire rating purposes. Got 145 square meters. Yeah, it's too small, we can't do that. I'm sorry, the house has to go. In this instance, it can't because it's protected, but that would be the thought process there. So yeah, in the past, you used to have to draw out your rectangle, look at the area, go back, start again. So much trial and error. Now you can just adjust it on the go. Oh, that is going to be a game changer, people. Final thing I want to talk about here in terms of things I love is the drawing tool. So come down here, you've got all the usual features, but I love this circle one. So often I say to my team, look, can you look for examples of double width carports on front boundaries within 50 meters of the site, 100 meters of the site. Now, instead of me going, all of Hall Street and maybe a bit of Isaac Street, what I can do is I come here, I draw a circle, And I just go, yeah, screenshot, send it to my team. Just find me all the examples in that area, please. Oh, that's going to be game changer. Going to love that feature. Not really game changer compared to some of the other ones, but still a really good thing. I'm sure there's heaps of other different ways you can use it, but that's what I loved when I found that one this morning. Okay, final tip I want to give you guys, because this is painful. If you come up here, you're looking at the property reports, you can click on the different things here. When I first started using the system, I clicked on the property report. Now, keeping in mind, I did say it's slow to load this system. I sat there and I waited, and I waited, and I waited. I went, okay, look, this is ridiculous. Why is this property report not loading? What I worked out is the first time you use this system, you'll often have the pop-ups automatically blocked. Let me get my words out here. So what you need to do is come up to the browser. So the section where you type the website address in. If you go to the right-hand end of that browser, I had a little red dot showing. When I clicked on that little red dot, it suddenly came up with a message that said something like, do you want to always allow pop-ups from Brisbane City Council, or whatever it was. I went yes, ever since I've been able to get access to those property reports. So keep that in mind. Don't wait forever. If you see that little red dot, okay it so you can actually get access to the property reports. Okay, that was a big video. Not like our usual short ones. Hopefully that guy has given you sort of a starting point for using the system. It's helped to break down some of those barriers to using the system. Like I said, overwhelmingly, it's going to be an amazing, amazing thing. Yes, it is a little bit slow to use. Yes, there is a couple little hiccups that I don't like, but overwhelmingly, it's just so, so good. So if you guys are using it, if you come across any other tips or tricks you want to share, please add them as a comment below. I'd love to keep the learning process and the conversation going. Otherwise, as I always say, until next time, thanks for watching.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no, actually, I've got three. Number one, the advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site specific. You would be a silly Billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly Billy. Number two, Brisbane Town Planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not council. Number three, what was my number three? Oh yeah, the views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all.